South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching? This total has really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Start of a new week here on Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio, live as always from the South Point Hotel and Casino in lovely Las Vegas, Nevada. As always, I'm Jeff Parles. She's Alex White. Hey, I can enunciate again. This is nice. Alex, we got a new week. We're heading down the stretch in the baseball season, even though some of these races are starting to widen a little bit.
And it was a good weekend, right? We had the first official week of preseason football for the NFL. So I didn't know if it was your voice coming back from the little cold or you were just super excited.
No, it's definitely the first one. The franchise that shall not be named at the current moment was let's just say aggravating weekend. We'll just go with that, to say the very least. All right, let's get. Oh no, we got to save that for football, Ryan. We need the Jets to do something stupid first. Before that, by the way, the Jets played their best game in like 10 years in the preseason on Saturday. Which, by the way, we have a poll today that's going to be up. Right, Ryan? We're going to have a poll of who was the best team this weekend, and the Jets were one of the 3 choices, along with other. So. Even though I think there's another AFC East team that looked pretty darn good over the weekend in the preseason. We'll get to that a little bit later. All right, Alex, let's get to baseball. Let's kick it off here today. And, Ryan, you can throw the NL standings up first because the first game is a very important game all of a sudden because of the New York Mets' absolute ineptitude over the last 12 games. They have allowed the Cincinnati Reds back into the race. This is down to 1.5 for the final wild card. And the Phillies have also extended their lead to 5.5 over the Mets. The Mets are now 3 behind the Padres for the fifth wild card, fifth seed, second wild card. Reds, again, split the Pirates, but that was good enough to pick up 2 games after the Mets got swept in Milwaukee in excruciating fashion in all 3 games. But we'll begin in Cincinnati tonight. So the Reds with a win would be only 1 game out of a playoff spot. Philly with a win tonight will be a season high 6 games up in the division if they were to win with Taijuan Walker on the mound against Abbott on the other side for Cincinnati. I think the pricing's pretty good here. I think Cincinnati with Abbott should be a small favorite. They are at -120, Alex, and a total of 9.5 in the Queen City.
I do too. I mean, I definitely think there's a pitching advantage, and they have Andrew Abbott going, who has been very good for them this year. Taijuan Walker, as we know, little up and down, but I mean, as of late, he's been fantastic. So even though there's a pitching advantage, I definitely think that the offense is starting to really click for Philadelphia. So I like that side. It's pretty tempting to get a +105 with the team that's playing really good right now. And as you mentioned, the Reds split with the Pirates. Probably should have had at least 3 or 4 of those games. And I'm not in love with their offensive numbers as of late. I mean, just 75 WRC plus. They are batting .237 as a team, the .278 on base percentage. On the other side, the Phillies look really good, 142 WRC plus, .279 average as a team. So getting a plus number here with the better team, I believe, all around, even though Andrew Abbott is definitely the better pitcher. Every other aspect, I feel like the Phillies have the advantage.
The Phillies are definitely the better team. I don't think there's any question of that. Right now, the Phillies hold the second seed in the NL, which, as we've talked about, is a big deal, not having to play in that wild card series, even though whoever gets a 3 seed, if we get the current matchup, would beat the Mets in 1 game. They wouldn't even need the second one to end that series at this rate. But the Phillies, since that awful series in Chicago where they lost 2 out of 3 to the White Sox, and credit to the Phils, they took 2 out of 3 out of the Tigers. Good.
Yep.
2 out of 3 from Baltimore, handling your business, doing exactly what you should do against the last place team. And they went to Texas and swept a Ranger team that is still in the mix in the AL, and they beat Jacob deGrom on Saturday night as well. So a very impressive series by the Phillies in order to get themselves into that number 2 seed entering the day. By the way, you see the NL MVP odds. I know there's been a huge push for Kyle Schwarber, but Ohtani kind of smacked that down this weekend, even with the Dodgers losing 2 out of 3, or excuse me, taking 2 out of 3 from the Blue Jays. That loss yesterday was pretty aggravating if you had the Dodgers yesterday.
I will say for the Phillies, too, I mean, Zach Wheeler even got hit up a little bit yesterday, and they found a way to come back and win that one.
Came back the last 2 days,
Yeah, so really impressive from them. And then we've been talking about the Reds and, you know, that not having a day off in quite some time. So that could show up here against another good NL team.
The Reds get the Brewers at the end of the week, who seem to have the golden horseshoe working for them at the current moment as well. Sorry, pocket pancake, right, sorry. Golden horseshoe, not good enough. It's a pocket pancake. That's right. Sorry, 100%. Hey, they were selling pancakes at AmFam yesterday because of that. But, you know, I wonder if that off-day thing catches up to Cincinnati here in this series. And look, for Philly, you got a chance to, and again, and this is why both of even though the Brewers are 6 up on the Cubs and the Phillies are 5.5 up on the Mets, looks like it's trending towards being done. It's not done yet just because Phillies and Mets have 7 left against each other. Cubs play a 5-gamer against the Brewers next week. So, it's still in play, both of these divisions, even though it looks unbelievably bleak for the Mets because they're not capable of beating anyone right now. And the Cubs have the 4th, they're only a half, they're tied with the Dodgers in the loss column, just in the wrong division right now because the Brewers are just playing out of their minds over the last 6 weeks now in the NL, 73-44 for Milwaukee. And, we'll go there next. Quintana against Heaney tonight. Quintana's a big favorite at -190. The market has bet the heck out of the Pirates, though, in this game, which is interesting. From +195 to +170 on Pittsburgh now. Totals up from 8 to 9, a whole run up as well. I mean, look, the Brewers pitching they didn't even pitch well over the weekend, and they still swept that series. They haven't lost in the month of August. The pocket pancake is undefeated right now. The vibes are insanely good in Milwaukee, but Alex, after watching these last 2 series against Atlanta and the Mets, and look, we're talking about the Braves, who have been the most unlucky team in baseball this year, and you're talking about an opponent in the Mets who are playing just some dreadful baseball, 1-11 in their last 4 series after sweeping the Giants 2 weeks ago. If there was a crack at all, Milwaukee took advantage of whatever break they were given. And when again, this is the right opponent again. You're playing a bad team in Pittsburgh. Very easily rack off another sweep and push this thing to 12. That is a big price, and I agree with the market moving it down. I'm going to stay out of this here today at AmFam.
I'm with you. I think that the Brewers should be about minus 160 here at home. So 10 cents, not enough for me to jump in on the Pirates. But if you got in on the opening number, I think that's a good price. Tempted to maybe take a little bit of that plus 1.5, getting plus 110 there for them to keep it close. But like you said, I mean, just everything's so contagious with baseball, and hitting's contagious, and the Brewers just have good vibes all around them right now. So I'm not going to jump in. I think the number was right at 8.5, but I'm not interested in going under a 9 either with these two pitchers going. So really nothing for me in this one.
I will say this. Isaac Collins should be the NL Rookie of the Year at this point on the Milwaukee side. I think he's done enough to hop Drake Baldwin. Now that Mizorowski's pretty much out of the race because of the fact that he called up late and now is probably going to end up missing a month. So, but again, it is astounding what the Brewers have done. If you look at all the sabermetrics for their hitting, they're at the bottom of the league in hard hit rate. They're hold on, I got to pull these numbers up real quick because in some research yesterday I went through this. So the Brewers 28th in exit velocity, last in barrels, and 25th in hard hit rate, and they right now are 6th in the majors in runs scored. Those numbers do not scream sustainability, but here you are. We're over 100. We've got 40 some odd games to go, and the Brewers are 29 games over 500. By the way, Collins, even money. Yeah, you could have a better price, but he should be the favorite at the current moment after his dramatics yesterday to complete the sweep. All right, let's go to St. Louis next. Cardinals with a good weekend against the Cubs. Now, the unfortunate part for them is that Miles Mikolas is going to have to pitch today. The good news for them is they're playing the Colorado Rockies. So, look, the Cardinals are on the outskirts here of this NL playoff race. They're not completely out of it all of a sudden because of what the Mets have done, allowing everyone back in. 3.5 out, so not totally dead, even with selling at the deadline. Good opportunity to get back in it this week as well with the Rockies coming. Minus 220 on Mikolas. That is too steep of a price for me, but I'll tell you, I like the over at 8.5. Just going to keep betting the Mikolas game's over until proven otherwise at this rate.
I can't fault you at all. I will just say you could make a case for Dollinger on the other side, who was sent down and now is back up, had to work on some things. But really, if you look at his game logs and you split the home and away, and we know Coors Field is just dreadful for pitchers, he's been much better on the road all year. I mean, his ERA is cut in half. It's a 4.25. So I do think he could pitch well against this Cardinals offense that it's pretty underwhelming. Both of these two are pretty much the same. The Rockies have been a little more competitive as of late. So if anything, I'd make a case for the dog here with that big plus price.
Yeah, I tend to agree if we're going sides. Maybe even take the 1.5 even on the Colorado end. But again, we're dealing with the Rockies. Who had a bad week. Let's just go with that, Alex. It was an early season week for Colorado where they just got stomped by Toronto and Arizona the whole week. Only one game that was played within 2 runs the whole week. Or actually, I can even edit that up. They played one game within 5 runs the whole week, or within 4 runs, I should say. 6-1, 6-5, and then 13-6 yesterday in Phoenix. Excuse me. Let's go to San Francisco, Alex. Logan Webb. You see, I jinxed myself, guys.
Yes, you did.
Jinxed myself. Now we're okay. Logan Webb and Yu Darvish, your pitching matchup. So this looked like a series about a month ago where it was like, all right, well, this could tell the tale for who gets the final wild card. Padres have separated. And again, that trade deadline, Alex, I thought that they did the best of everybody involved at the trade deadline, and it has paid the reward so far. A good series win over Boston over the weekend. They take 2 out of 3 over the red hot Red Sox at Petco. They do have a pitching disadvantage tonight because Logan Webb's on the bump for the Giants at minus 125, plus 10 on the Padres, 7.5 in a chilly San Francisco tonight.
Right, and Yu Darvish just hasn't really figured it out yet. He did have one good start against the Mets, scoreless, went 7 innings in that one. But other than that, he's given up at least 3 in 4 of his last 5 starts. So I actually like the over because I do think that the Padres can get to Logan Webb. I mean, we saw a little stretch where things didn't look right with him. He gave up 6 in 4 innings pitched against the Mets and 4 earned runs, 11 hits against the Blue Jays up until he saw the Pirates, and he saw them twice, had 2 really good outings against them. I think the Padres can get to him. So with all that being said, I think it's a pretty good number there at 7.5. I think it is priced here because it is San Francisco and it is Logan Webb going, but I think we could get runs from both sides, especially there is some wind. And I know we talk about San Francisco, but it's quite a bit of wind there.
It's a lot today. It's 20 miles an hour. We've talked about this ballpark, the way it's built minimizes the wind blowing out, but it's still 20 miles an hour. The only kicker, though, is it's going to be under 60 degrees by the time this game reaches the middle of the game, which, again, it's August 11th and it's sub 60, but that's the summer in San Francisco,
I
right?
love that.
So there you go. I'll just say this with the Padres, where they're only 2 games behind the Dodgers and still have 2 series left with LA. The NL West is in grasp here for San Diego. And again, the Dodgers are the Dodgers. They have the best 1 through 4 in baseball in the lineup. All their pitchers are coming back. They're getting healthier. Snell looked great over the weekend. Glasnow is back. But this is obtainable for San Diego. This is very much obtainable. I'm not saying they're going to win the NL West, but winning the NL West is in play. The only concern that I have at this rate, and again, with Milwaukee just opening it up on everybody in the NL for that 1 seed, finding a way to get the 2 seed is going to be hard for San Diego because of what the Phillies have done. So, again, it's almost better. I know this will sound insane, but if you're going to be the 3 seed, it's almost better to be the 4 this year than it is to be the 3. I'd rather take my chances with the wild card and then take a shot on a Brewer team that, yes, they have the best record. I don't think the Brewers are anywhere near as strong as the Padres, the Phillies, or the Dodgers. And quite frankly, when the Cubs and the Mets are both playing, right, I don't think they're as strong as those teams either. I'd much rather have my shot as the 4 seed or the 5, taking a crack at Milwaukee instead of having to play a rested Dodger or Philly team. But again, we'll see. It's baseball playoffs. We know that, and Milwaukee will likely be healthy pitching-wise, so anything can happen, as we know.
Division odds are down right now in Vegas. They've taken them down, but I believe DraftKings or FanDuel still has them.
Yeah, Dodgers are still a significant favorite, just shy of $4 just shy of $5 on the Padres. So, yeah, look, I don't think it's a terrible bet, but again, Dodgers right now lead the season series. So if that is, again, the key here, there's no game 163 anymore. If they end up tied, whoever wins the season series within the division ends up getting the bid, and the Dodgers currently leading the season series against San Diego.
Maybe better just to go game by game with Padres.
When they play each other, that's kind of that's what I was thinking personally. So
yeah.
Let's go to New York next. The other struggling New York team, the Yankees, who lose the series to the Astros over the weekend, but catch a break with Cleveland losing to the White Sox on Sunday. But the Yankees' lead over Cleveland's only a half game for that final wild card. Look at the Guardians out of nowhere, just back in the mix yet again. Talk about another team that the hitting numbers don't stack up. In the 3 metrics I said before, they're worse than Milwaukee in all 3 of them.
I believe that.
So the Guardians just, again, a little bit lucky, but still in this half game behind the Yankees, who have just, again, we've talked about it. It's been a mess for the Bombers, but this is good news for the Yankees. The New York Yankees own the Minnesota Twins over the last 20 years. With the best record in baseball against any opponent for the Yankees comes against Minnesota. So they have owned the Twins over the last 20 years. And they get 2 series against them, which is good news for the Yankees. They're minus 180 tonight with Will Warren on the bump, Zach Matthews on the other side for Minnesota at plus 160, a total of 9. Alex, I'm just going to stay off of this, but that total does seem low with these pitchers that are going here tonight.
I agree. I definitely do lean to the over here with these 2 pitchers going, but I also do like the Yankees side, and I think that's a pretty good price. It has been bet up a little bit more, but I mean, the Twins were pretty competitive, and as you mentioned, I mean, now we've got the AAA Twins, right? Because they
AAA bullpen Twins.
AAA bullpen Twins, definitely. So I think because how the Yankees are kind of stumbling into this and the Twins were pretty competitive over the weekend, you're getting a better price here on the Yankees. Maybe even going first 5 run line. I don't love the run line full game, but I mean, I I think the Yankees is the right spot for sure.
Twins won both series last week. They took 2 out of 3 from Detroit. They won 2 out of 3 against Kansas City. So, as you mentioned, that's more than competitive against teams that are ahead of them in the standings. But again, the Yankees have just owned Minnesota over the years. Again, dating back to 2004, the Yankees have just owned Minnesota through the years. All right, up next, we go to Chicago, South Side. White Sox took the final game of that series against Cleveland. Now they welcome in the division-leading Tigers, who didn't lose any ground over the weekend, so they're still 6 up on Cleveland, and they're still ahead of the Astros for the 2 seed in the American League. Toronto still at the top of the food chain in the AL, even with a not a great weekend in LA. They salvaged that final game yesterday against the Dodgers. It's Paddock and Piguero, your pitching matchup at Rate Field today. Alex, I think this is just one of those you just kind of go all reliable. The Tigers are much better than the White Sox. It's a cheap price at -140. It's a cheap price plus 115 on laying the 1.5 for the full game. Sometimes you just got to keep it simple. I'll keep it simple here, and if the White Sox beat me, so be it. Tigers full game money line, Tigers full game run line for me.
I'm with you. I think that is a very cheap price. I think they should be closer to $2 here against the White Sox. And I know that it is Paddock, and he is one of their weaker pitchers, but I do trust this offense, and they started hitting again. So, yeah, Tigers run line, money line, team total, whichever way you want to play it.
I again, for Detroit, it's kind of funny where the Tigers have now kind of stabilized the ship after that really awful stretch in and out of the All-Star break. But that lead is still is the second slim. Yesterday was the slimmest. It was 5 going into yesterday. And then, of course, Cleveland loses, Detroit wins. But again, I would like to see these top teams in the AL, the division leaders, play a little bit better than they're playing. I understand Houston just took a series off the Yankees. I understand Toronto just played the highest power-rated team in baseball over the weekend. But, again, it's all tightening up. And don't worry, we'll get to the red-hot M's in a moment, too. Every once in a while, I stumble into something that actually works itself out. And the M's are just playing some great ball. Seattle is not playing today, but they've hopped the Red Sox for the top wild card and are only a half game behind Houston now in the AL West. So, Seattle, again, best deadline in the American League.
Yep.
Right now, it's paid dividends. Again, the 2 teams I thought that did the best at the deadline are playing great, San Diego and Seattle, at the current moment. All right, now this is a big series in Houston tonight that begins with the Astros and the Red Sox. You see Houston there, final division leader, only a half game ahead of Seattle. Boston finally lost a series over the weekend against the Padres. Again, Boston has been playing as well as anyone in baseball over the last 2.5 weeks. They have Crochet against Javier, -165 on Crochet, 7.5 the total. You know, Alex, I actually think this is a reasonable price on Christian Javier if you want to take a shot. Again, you're going against arguably the second best pitcher in the American League, just behind Skubal. But this is a pretty juicy price on Javier, who is not a pushover by any means, Alex.
No, I agree with you. I definitely think that that's the right side. Now, I can understand if you are a little bit concerned because it's his first start since 2024, May of 2024. Mm-hmm. But he was really good, especially 2022, a little bit of a drop off in 2023. But just feels like when he's on the bump, this Astros team knows how to hit, and they have definitely turned it on as of late. Their moves have definitely helped their lineup as well. And as good as the Red Sox have been, I do still think the Astros are the better team. So plus 150, I think it's worth the stab there.
It's a good price. It's a good price. And as you mentioned, again, long injury for Javier. But before he went down, Christian Javier, obviously you forget Hunter Brown for a second because he wasn't really overly relevant until the beginning of this year when he's really turned into a bona fide top 10 pitcher in the AL. I mean, I looked at a time where Javier and Valdez were pretty similar. Yeah. Just that Valdez had a little bit of an advantage because he was a left-handed pitcher. But Javier's the big game experience, good pitcher. This is a good price. Just a question of how long is he going to go here tonight in Houston. The
other thing is in his rehab starts in AAA, he has had a problem with his control because it's basically 15-15 strikeout to walk ratio.
Yeah, that's not great.
It's not.
So, all right, let's go to Sacramento next. Make this quick. Rays and A's. Hey, it's the Rhyming Bowl here tonight at Sutter Health Park. Springs and Pepio, -110 on the A's, -105 on the Rays. Total of 10, which is super duper high for two pitchers that we actually kind of like.
Yeah.
But here's your weather tonight. 90 degrees with 15-mile-an-hour winds at the dead center, which is what you can get in West Sacramento. And we're going to be doing this basically these next few summers until the A's make their way here to Las Vegas. You know, I'm just going to stay off. I feel like that total is high, but the weather is just so good for the hitters that it makes it a stay off. I can't justify a wind blowing out under in this ballpark.
Feels like everybody needs to pick a hitter for.
We could do that
for a prop with the Athletics here.
Well, you
could take Tampa Bay if you'd like.
I could go on the Tampa side and just take Junior Caminero. I mean, I don't mind that.
Yes, you can. There you go. I'm confident Ryan's going to pick Athletic, though, and I think JR will probably jump in the chat and pick one as well.
Take Mr. Kurtz, who has run away and hid with the American League Rookie of the Year at this point.
I like the Athletics at that price. I think that's a cheap price, and I've been pretty tough on Jeffrey Springs, but he's been really good. I mean, one bad start against Cleveland in his last 7, so I think he can pitch well here, especially because Tampa Bay does struggle a little bit against the lefties, so I think they have the advantage there. But that high total tells you that, I mean, we're probably going to see runs from both sides, so it will be a tight game. But, yeah, I do like I was actually going to go with Shea Langoliers. Let's make sure he is.
He'll probably play.
He is the catcher today, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get that lineup in about 6 hours, but yeah, he'll play. He'll play, you would hope. All right, up next, let's go to Kansas City next. Boy, the Nats have just completely just melted down here. 23 games under 500 now. Now they go to KC. Bailey Falter against Cavalli on the other side. Minus 50 on KC, a total of 9. Alex, I don't really want to do anything because it feels like a pretty expensive price on Kansas City, but the Nats are just playing awful, awful baseball since the All-Star break.
The Royals, though, I mean, they really just lost a good opportunity. I thought that, I mean, they were the favorite, right? In almost every one of their games this weekend.
Lost 2 out of 3.
And lost 2 out of 3. So I do not like the way they are playing. I definitely don't want to lay a price with them, and not much you can do with the other side with the Nationals. I agree. But, I mean, it would be a lean. What are we doing? Oh, you're laying a big price to get that 1.5.
You know what? I wouldn't be interested in minus 160
Yeah.
plus 1.5 on that. All right, let's go to Texas. Our guy Nathan Eovaldi goes for the Rangers, who just got swept over the weekend at home by Philadelphia. Ryan Nelson will go for the Arizona Diamondbacks. It's minus 155 on Texas, and a total of 7.5 in this one, Alex. It's a pretty low total here, but these two pitchers justify that total here.
They definitely do. This is definitely my underplay of the day. I think that we can stay under that 7.5. I mean, Eovaldi is going 7-8 innings, so you don't even need much from their bullpen, and he's holding teams to 1 or scoreless. So I like that from that side, and I really like Ryan Nelson too. He's pretty much holding teams to 2, maybe 3. So love the under, lean to the Rangers side here. It was a very tough matchup against the Phillies.
And then the last one on the board, the Freeway Series, gets going in Anaheim tonight. Remember, when these two teams played earlier in the year, the Angels went up to Dodger Stadium and swept 3
they did.
off the LA Dodgers. Minus 160 on Yamamoto tonight for the Dodgers. The Angels throw Soriano at plus 160. Total 8.5. I actually think that's a reasonable price on Soriano if you want to take a shot here at plus 160. But the Angels really going to keep running the table against the Dodgers this year, Alex?
That's my fear too. I mean, I think this is definitely a Dodgers spot. I was leaning more towards the minus 1.5, minus 110. They're starting to figure some things out, and their big hitters are starting to hit. So they even have really good numbers as of late offensively, much better than the Angels. But I mean, you said it the other day, Angels are the definition of average, but they continue to put runs on the board. It is impressive. So it's a tougher handicap with the Angels having it this year. And I do like Soriano a lot, but I'm going Dodgers side. I'd just go minus 1.5 though.
Again, road team get guaranteed the extra at bat, or the 9, not the extra at bat, the 9 at bats with the Dodgers. Again, LA, I got to specify. The Dodgers, forget the Angels. The Angels are just exactly what we thought they were going to be. They're going to finish probably about 7 to 12 games under 500 and be the definition of mediocrity yet again. The Dodgers, as I mentioned before, this is a real race in the NL West. And the Dodgers just have to really just not mess around in these games they're supposed to win. Again, they get 2 more series against San Diego, The 3-gamer in LA comes this weekend. So they get they're done with the Padres after August. So we're going to really see, and these two series, by the way, in between the two Padres series, the Angels and the Rockies. If you're ever going to spike a 6-0, this is the time to spike it against two bottom feeders. They get the Padres twice this weekend and then the weekend after. So you're the Dodgers. You got to get fat and happy against baseball's worse than a mediocre team, even though they beat you 3 times earlier in the year. If you're going to at least not make it a total pressure cooker against the Padres, these upcoming 2 series right now. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we have preseason thoughts real quick. The AP Top 25 poll in college football came out. We'll tell you what it was. I have one team that I think is super overrated, which we'll get to. And the trivia question and more when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio live in Las Vegas, Nevada at the South Point Hotel and Casino.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White. Just a quick check-in with the chat. Ned, who we haven't seen in a while, back in there thinking that Andrew Heaney and Chris Paddock are going to give up runs tonight. I guess that's White Sox and Brewers. Yeah, well, the Brewers are going to score runs tonight because they'll find the smallest crack on the infield and put the ball through it. Peter in the chat liked how the Jets looked. Just need to cut down on the penalties. I 100% agree with what Peter said. Jets look good, but they committed a ton of penalties, even though, it's funny. We sometimes will say teams are in midseason form.
Yeah.
The refs are in midseason form in Green Bay on Saturday night. We'll just go with that in that one. But yes, agree on too many penalties on both sides for the Packers. Looked awful. But again, the rule of thumb is we don't overreact to preseason here.
That's right.
We don't overreact. Attila has been all over Kurt since day one. We knew that. And Attila's been a big fan all the way through. Dean and Peter want to fire Aaron Boone. I don't disagree. And then JR with his normal trends. Nats 5 straight unders, 6 straight overs from Milwaukee and Boston, which again, Brewers just keep scoring runs. All right, preseason football reaction, Alex. And again, I don't want to overreact to things. But I'll just throw 2 things quickly that at least caught my eye over the weekend, more so than anything. New England just eviscerating Washington, and more so than anything, the bigger concern with Washington that I'll just throw out there, their special teams were bad. And that's one thing that I do look at in preseason and say, all right, if your special teams, and look, kickers are going to miss kicks, punters are going to shank punts. I don't really look at that. But when you give up the opening kickoff for a touchdown,
right,
like they did with Travion, and look, Travion Henderson's going to be awesome, but give up an opening kickoff touchdown, and then you give up another long kickoff return later in the game, that worries me with just what your depth is
right,
as a roster. If your special teams are good in the preseason, like covering kickoffs and punts, yeah, your depth is reasonable. But I'm a little bit concerned with that. And look, New England, again, I don't want to overreact to preseason. They look great. But I thought that was one alarming thing, that Washington's special teams were really bad on Friday night. And for a team that, again, Terry McLaurin is holding, Terry McLaurin wants out because they're not giving him the contract extension. I didn't think they did enough defensively this offseason to push that defense forward after that magical run to the NFC title game a year ago. But that concerned me a little bit, Alex.
They didn't really go out and get anyone elite, right? It was kind of just a trade.
Small.
Right, yeah.
Just small stuff.
But that's a great point. I've never really thought about that. I like that, looking at special teams and really taking the most out of that, because you don't want to overreact. But, I mean, you're getting starters a lot of times, too, in those positions. So it's a good point. I like that.
And then the other one also came on Friday, and that was Shedeur Sanders, who I thought, look, again, actually, you can keep that one in a second because I do have thoughts on Dart as well, Ryan. But Shedeur Sanders played really well on Friday night. Now, again, can't overreact against second-team defense, and especially a team with a mediocre first-team defense in that of Carolina. But look, he looked composed. He made really good decisions. And for a Cleveland Brown team that, again, our Cleveland Brown preview is out already. We have we have very limited expectations. Watch the preview to figure out, to see why we think that. There's a path where it makes sense for Shedeur Sanders to be the starter week 1. There's a path where it makes sense, where we know what Joe Flacco is. The team's going nowhere. You use draft capital on Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. If one of the two of them, and Gabriel's hurt right now,
right?
If one of the two of them in the preseason look good enough, you could justify it. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it should happen. But there is a path where it's justifiable to have Shedeur Sanders start week 1. And for a team that's going nowhere, you might as well see what you got out of the young guys, right? Like Joe Flacco's 40 years old. He's not the quarterback of the future. Kenny Pickett's not healthy right now, and I don't think he's the quarterback of the future either, Alex.
I also think there's really no reason in rushing it, because they do have such low expectations this year. Right? They're not at a win now, and with such a competitive division, I'm sure that they'll throw Flacco out there for.
He's going to be the starter.
For a little bit, and then see what they have with him. But he did look very impressive. If I'm not mistaken, you had mentioned that you thought he was one of the best coming out of that college class to translate to the NFL.
I still thought that when this was all said and done, that Shedeur Sanders was the best quarterback to translate to the league than everyone else in this draft. And look, there are flaws in his game. There are flaws in all these quarterbacks' games. That's why it was a weak quarterback class. But Cam Ward played in a system that I don't think translates to the NFL at all. Cam Ward was okay in his preseason debut on Saturday for Tennessee. There were some flashes that were good, but again, I think that could be a long year for the Titans down there, even with a horrible division. But I don't think you're wrong. Where, all right, you know what? Flacco plays the first month.
Yeah.
They start 1-3 or 0-4. All right, then you can explore a little bit with what you got maybe with Sanders. Again, it's a little pressure. It's a 5th-round pick.
Yeah.
5th-round picks aren't supposed to pan out, especially at the quarterback position. So anything you can get out of that would be gravy for Cleveland. And then I want to go to the Giants real quick. Jackson Dart looked great. And again, I don't want to overreact to the preseason, but Dart had great decision-making. By the way, Ann also won her bet on the Giants too, so shout out to Ann on the Giants. But Dart's decision-making looked great. He looked comfortable moving up and down the pocket, and he played. And this is a point, I think it was Matt Waldron who said this on Twitter, and I think he's right. He played fast, which you don't necessarily see rookies do that in their first preseason game. Again, can't overreact. But for a team that has, we talked about it, the roster's not terrible in New York.
No, it's
not. The schedule is insanely brutal. And if Jackson Dart outplays Russell Wilson in practice, this would be one where I would say, all right, Russell Wilson's only on a 1-year deal. You already have Jameis Winston behind him anyway. You have 2 veterans that he can learn from. And look, the Giants are going nowhere anyway. And if the ownership group has already told Shane and Dable, hey, we're going to let you have 2 years with Dart. I don't mind throwing him out there from the get-go here with how brutal the schedule is. And you know what? What's better than learning against this sort of schedule? Who cares if they go 4-13 again for the next straight year? If Dart looks competent, you have your quarterback moving forward, and you go with expectations in 2026 then, Alex.
It feels like it'll be just like Drake May, right?
Could be.
Kind of like we're talking about with Shador, too. I think the biggest thing is just making sure they're ready and not getting your franchise quarterback injured. Especially against these tough, really good defenses.
And I do agree with you on that, because if Andrew Thomas is, the one hesitation would be if Andrew Thomas isn't fully ready for week 1, then you play Russell Wilson from the start. And then you know what? You start 0-4, you got a soft landing spot in New Orleans.
Yep.
In week 5, you can throw a Dart in there. Indoor game, even though against one of the weaker teams in the league, even though it's an intimidating environment, I don't mind throwing the rookie in there week 5 at that point if you wanted to do that. Quick trends, by the way, from this weekend, Alex. Underdogs, 12-5 so far this preseason, covering by over 7 points. By the way, Evan Abrams on this. That's the best since 2008 in the preseason. And the overs went 14-2. We're not going to count what happened in Atlanta with the significant injury at the end of that game. But 14-2 to the over, and underdogs 12-5 so far.
I don't have a takeaway for that over because, we are used to the unders. But for the dog, I will say, don't just blindly follow the steam. I think that is what's happening. I mean, we're seeing huge line movements where people think they have information and then other people are blindly backing that, right? And just laying points or fading certain guys. So you got to do your own research if you're going to bet preseason. And it seems like taking points has been the most profitable way here, as we would expect with preseason, right? You never really want to lay points, and people are laying between 4 and 6.
That was the biggest thing for me too, where you would it started on Thursday.
Yes, it did.
All the steam favorites didn't cover. Two of the dogs won outright, and the Raiders tied. So there was no money line price either way. So yeah, just be careful again. And look, if you're an originator, basically, if you're betting this early in the week and you're like the first one to move the number, all right, fine.
Right.
But don't chase. Don't like with Indianapolis, that's a perfect example. I mean, don't lay 6.5 in Indy when the number was 3.5, 4 for a good portion of the week. Don't chase it.
I don't want to overreact, but the Ravens defense second team looked awesome.
Wow. That was another one. Special teams as well, where the Ravens special teams, especially the punt unit, was awesome on Thursday night. And again, that is a concern for me, where if your special teams looks dreadful, I'm concerned about your depth. And Indy was, even before that, I was concerned about Indianapolis's depth to begin with. Anyway. All right. One last football-related thing I just want to bring up, and this is for informational purposes only. I'm just throwing this out there, and this is just, remember, our good friend Vinny Magliulo has always said, polls don't make prices. And the AP poll came out today for college football. For the first time in program history, the Texas Longhorns are preseason number 1 in the AP poll. First time in program history. Kind of crazy.
It is.
And that's the case. Penn State comes in at 2, Ohio State 3, Clemson 4, Georgia 5 to round out the top 5. I have absolutely no issue with that at all. Again, I have Penn State as my number 1 team, but I have Penn State, Ohio State, Texas 1, 2, 3, but it is so darn close between the 3 of them that I can't really argue anything there.
Nope.
Alex, is there anything that stands out at all to you, or is this just like, hey, all right, the media has their poll out, but I'm just going to do what I do?
I'm a little worried about Notre Dame and the turnover there and them being so high to start. But yeah, that's really it. What jumped out to you? Because I know one team did.
So there's a few things. I actually have no issue with the top 9. I think the top 9, any order you put those 9 teams, I know you're a little bit concerned about Notre Dame.
Well, I know LSU now, but there's a lot going on with that program. But
Notre Dame, I think Notre Dame's roster is awesome. It's just a question of quarterback play, and that schedule is nuts early, where you got 3 top 10 AP matchups, by the way, week 1 now. Texas, Ohio State, Clemson, LSU, and Miami and Notre Dame. So you got some heavy-duty ones week 1. 11 through 16 is where it stands at. And you know what? I'll make it 11 through 18, even though I like Kansas State. But Arizona State's overrated. Arizona State's overrated by the AP poll. Illinois might be one of the most overrated teams I can remember going into the year. Roster's good. Sure, back end top 25 quality. They ain't a top 12 team. That's just crazy. I love the Lenora Sellers. He might win the Heisman Trophy this year. South Carolina's overrated. Michigan, I like the Wolverines, but there is a big concern about what the quarterback position is.
Yes.
Could be true freshman Bryce Underwood. And if it's not, it's Mikey Keene, who we liked at Fresno State, but is turnover happy. So a little bit concerning there. And they have a tough schedule as well. Florida, DJ Lagway's healthy. They could very easily finish in the top 10, make the playoff. I'm concerned DJ Lagway's not capable of making it through a whole season, and their schedule's insane. SMU, I guess they're the third best team in the ACC, but really kind of falls off a cliff, even though I have Georgia Tech ranked ahead of SMU. The pollsters do not. K-State, totally fine there. Oklahoma is one of the most interesting teams in the whole country, Alex, because they improved
Yes, they did.
at quarterback and running back, where their running back room last year was extraordinarily overrated early in the year, and I was never a fan of anyone in that quarterback room a year ago. But I have my concerns about John Mateer at the quarterback position. I think John Mateer looked as good as he did a year ago because he was playing lousy competition at Wazoo. They were not playing anything near SEC competition, and I'm concerned about his throwing ability in the SEC. And that as a coaching staff, I think, is bottom tier in the SEC as well. So that's a little bit concerning. I think A&M is much better than Oklahoma is personally. So that was a little bit surprising. But the rest of it, look, it'll work itself out.
Yep.
Chris Felica this morning put out something with thinking, would you be interested in betting a yes-no prop of will a top 10 AP team end up unranked at the end of the year? If you pushed it down to 15, I would 100% run to the window and bet the yes. Top 10, I think everyone in that top 10 ends up ranked at the end of the year, even though I'm not high in the Canes like some. And there are your odds, as you see, Alex. Texas still your betting favorite. Coupled with that number one ranking, they were already the favorites here at the South Point anyway.
That was actually the first time me seeing that top 25. So I really only made it through the top 10 when responding first about Notre Dame. I agree with you with that next 5, definitely. And I do think Oklahoma their roster's really good. I do think they could be higher. I think a lot of those SEC teams could be higher, right? But they are kind of just trying to mix it up. And then kind of going off a schedule, which I don't really think is fair. We know Oklahoma has a brutal schedule, but is that playing into where they are for top 25?
Well, here's the interesting thing. Oklahoma was not ranked in the coaches poll, and they were ranked 18 by the media. So if anything, I don't think Tennessee deserves to be ranked in either poll, but that's a different discussion for a different time.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I the biggest outlier actually on my rankings, and I know some will scream Homer, but I don't care. I had Mizzou at 15 in my rankings. They were not ranked in either poll. The roster is good. It's just a question of Bo Pribula. Like, what are we getting out of him?
Looked awesome.
I think Mizzou's roster is better than Tennessee's for sure. And they're even with South Carolina. Now that I think about it more, I think South Carolina is the most overrated team in these polls. They played great down the stretch last year. They almost snuck in the back door and almost made the playoff. But part of the reason I thought, and again, I love Lenora Sellers. He could end up being the first overall pick if Arch Manning doesn't end up going into the NFL draft. But defense is going to be a hell of a lot more prepared for him than they were a year ago. You're going to be prepared for the double dimension of Lenora Sellers this year. And I don't think that skill position group is anywhere near as good as Florida or A&M or Oklahoma for that matter.
Yeah.
So a little bit surprised that they're ahead of all those teams. Or Ole Miss. Ole Miss is kind of forgotten now, right? They're still there. Yeah. Also, by the way, Farmageddon has 2 ranked teams with Iowa State and K-State right out of the chute to begin the season in Dublin. Anything else stands
Arizona
out?
State and Illinois. Those are interesting.
Arizona State 11 is super duper high, but I get it. Look, the hype machine is real in Tempe after that shocking playoff appearance a year ago. But their best offensive players on the New York Giants now. So
agreed. Yes,
it's a little bit tough. Little surprised Utah's not in here as well. I think the Utes. I have the Utes winning the Big 12 this year. So a little bit surprised that, again, but the Big 12 is so ridiculous that as we know, anything can happen there. All right, we're going to take our last break. When we get back, we'll give you the trivia answer. Alex will have her whiteboard, and we'll get you set for the finale on a Monday here on Sports by the Book.
South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, 777s, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
Sports by the Book.
Sports by the Book.
Sports by the Book. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching?
This total has really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book. Going to wrap things up here on a Monday, and we're going to start with the trivia question here, Alex. And Vince has been big on baseball media the last few days. Obviously, technology in baseball. Really, August is the time for it to all happen. So the first Major League Baseball game to be televised in color happened on this date in 1951. Which network aired the game, and who were the two commentators on the broadcast? Good question, Vince. It was the Boston Braves and the Brooklyn Dodgers at Ebbets Field that day. So, of course, two teams that are no longer in that location. It was broadcasted live on WCBS in New York, Channel 2. I don't know if it was Channel 2 back in 1951, but still is today. It was Red Barber and Connie Desmond. Red Barber, one of the best to ever do it. As you see, it was a Brooklyn Dodger victory that day over the Boston Braves. So that was your answer. WCBS TV and Red Barber and Connie Desmond on the call. JR takes the lead over Nick. So 4-3 so far. JR leads the month of August. So going to be a tight race over the last 20 days of the month, Alex.
Definitely. Keep playing along. We love it. And Vince, thank you for putting in the time and effort to make these good questions. It's been a lot of fun.
WCBS in New York. There you go. Channel. It was Channel 2. See, it says it right there. See, I'm all over it. All right, Alex. Whiteboard on a Monday. We got there's a bigger Monday baseball card than usual. So you got a nice little quartet over there today.
Yes, I do. It's pretty chalky, but luckily I have one under. And I know some people did play along, just who you're going for in the Tampa Bay Athletics. hitting or home run wise. Odds are not great. We were looking those up, so be careful with those. I'm going Tigers. Lay in the 1.5 plus 115. I just think that is a good price on Detroit, the better team, even though they are on the road. Red Sox and Astros, I'm going over 7.5, even though it is crochet on the bump. I think we're going to get some runs from both sides here. Diamondbacks and Rangers, under 7.5, Ryan Nelson and Nathan Eovaldi. And then Dodgers, -1.5, -110. A little bit of a revenge factor there after getting swept against the Angels, Yamamoto on the mound. So going with the Dodgers today.
There we go. That's 2 run lines, 2 totals. You and I are simpatico on Detroit, so I apologize in advance if I take you down, Alex. But Chris Paddock on the bump. That could be a high-scoring game as well with both of those pitchers.
Yes, it could.
It could be an over game on the south side of Chicago as well with the Tigers and the White Sox in the AL Central. All right, so we got. You want to flip up that card real quick, Alex, since we're getting close to $25,000 jackpot parlay card available now here at the South Point, up at the Rampart. $5 entry, $25,000 guaranteed. If it goes through that number, it just gets added to the prize pool. Week 1 NFL Sunday, do buy those kickoffs for those Sundays. So no Eagles Cowboys and no Chiefs Chargers on that, but plenty of cards that will be put in by both of us, I know, Alex. So
of all the contests,
get ready.
Yes, I mean, this one is a lot of fun. You're just kind of going through that first Sunday, watching every single game and keeping track of what you get, because, of course, you don't have to pick spreads. Just pick the winner.
All right, there we go. That's what we got. She's Alex White. I'm Jeff Parles. We'll see you again tomorrow, same time, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern. More NFL previews coming your way on the channel as well this week, so be on the lookout for those as they populate the market here on Sports by the Book, here on the YouTube page. Shout out to Ann, Jerry, Vince, Ryan here today in studio. As always, big thanks to you guys for getting us on the air. She's Alex. I'm Jeff. We'll see you again next time. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Live as always from the South Point Hotel and Casino here in lovely Las Vegas.